Israel says they will suspend over 24 humanitarian organizations, including Doctors Without Borders, in the Gaza Strip starting in the new year. It says they failed to meet Israel's new rules to vet international organizations working in Palestinian territory. Israel and international organizations have recently been at odds over the amount of aid going into Gaza during the war with Hamas. Israel also claims it is upholding aid commitments laid out in the ceasefire, but humanitarian organizations dispute this, saying more aid is needed in Gaza. Joining us now is Sana Bég, Executive Director of Doctors Without Borders Canada. Sana, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
What is your reaction to this development?
Well, I noted what you just said. We have actually, in fact, our teams on the ground, as of today, we have not received any official decision in regard to the ongoing registration applications. But if we are, as MSF, prevented from providing any of our services, this will have devastating consequences for the Palestinians. This would not be a deregistration. In fact, it would be a literal death sentence for the Palestinians that have been living through now years of a genocide despite the ceasefire. Look, in Gaza, as MSF, we support around 20% of all hospitals, and we support the delivery of nearly 1 of 3 babies, 1/5 of the population. You could imagine what this would mean in terms of the devastating impact that they would have on a population there.
What changes did you see on the ground once that ceasefire deal was reached? Because aid was flowing in, not sufficient, but it was better than the peak of the war. But what difference did you see on the ground with the amount of aid going in, and how much more was needed according to you?
Indeed. We did see a slight easing of restrictions. We were able to have supplies in a greater number enter and reach the patients that it needed to reach. But again, this continues to be a trickle of needs that are coming in when there is an ocean of needs that are required, a trickle of supplies that are coming in for the ocean of needs that are required for Gaza. We have long been asking since the announcement of a ceasefire that we need a massive scale up to be able to meet the needs of the people that are living there. It's the services that we provide as MSF. These are largely unavailable elsewhere in Gaza due to the destruction of the healthcare system. The healthcare system that we're speaking of there, only 18 of 36 hospitals are partially functioning today. Independent and experienced humanitarian organizations losing access to this area would really be a disaster for Palestinians. And so we continue to call on Israeli authorities to ensure that international organizations, international humanitarian organizations like ours are given unfettered access, because that scale up continues to be required.
One quick question before you go. What would be the next course of action once you've received that confirmation?
As I said, we have not received that confirmation yet. We're taking it one day at a time. We're continuing to await the registration decision, and we're continuing to call on the Israeli authorities to ensure that INGOs like ours can maintain and continue the critical response that required in Gaza and in the West Bank. The restricted humanitarian response is already quite stifling, and it cannot be further dismantled.
Okay, we'll leave it at that this afternoon then. Sana Bég, Executive Director of Canada's Doctors Without Borders Canada. Appreciate your time, Sana. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.